Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Kim Doe, Health Policy Chair of the California Nurse Midwives Association. First up front, I wanted to say that CNMA recognizes the importance of having our professional board regulate us, and absolutely do not hope to see the board sunset. We hope to see it continue. I did want to add a little bit of clarification in terms of the Nurse Midwifery Advisory Committee, obviously, the Board of Registered Nursing does regulate certified nurse midwives in California. I think it's something to note is that nurse midwives have the scope of practice of a nurse and additionally have a separate scope of practice as a midwife, requiring specific expertise to understand. Currently, there is no board member or BRN staff member that has background or experience as a nurse midwife. And I want to corroborate what Mr. Jackson and what Ms. Bailey have said. They have given time on the agenda at the practice committee to hear our issues, but I would just say that the ask for an advisory committee is not so much a platform to have our issues heard, but to act as an advisory committee. So when there are issues that the board needs advice on in terms of practice, education, or regulatory advice, then we can provide that expertise. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Dr. B.J. Snell, and I am a certified nurse midwife. I'm representing the California Birth Center Association, as well as being a member of the California Nurse Midwives Association. Over the past few years, there have been growing concerns about the interpretation of midwifery practice by the board, especially in the out-of-hospital setting. As just mentioned, there's no formal mechanism for advisement. I won't reiterate what we've talked about, but have since October of last year, I believe, was the meeting where Louise suggested that we bring issues, if we have issues, to the practice committee, but that has been a very short window of time and have not been able to, discuss and be able to provide advisement as the Nurse Midwifery Advisory Committee was conceptualized. Let me give you an example. From a recent investigation, nurse midwives in California learned that laceration repair following birth at home was not allowed. When that law was enacted in 1996, and I'm acutely aware of that because I was the health policy director and helped with that bill, the language authorized the holder to perform and repair episiotomies and to repair first and second degree lacerations of the perineum in a licensed acute care hospital and a licensed alternate birth center. The home setting is not mentioned in the law, and as it is not a healthcare system. But no advisement was sent to alert the nurse midwifery community of any concern when practicing in the home, or interpretation that the home setting would be an issue. There was no request for information from the board to the professional community about the interpretation, and no effort to work with the community and the legislature to resolve this concern, possible oversight. Further, it is confusing that nurse midwives who are educated and have the skill acquisition to repair a laceration in a healthcare system, but are now not able to perform that in a home setting. Nurse midwifery practice includes evidence-based care that applies in the home setting along with hospitals and birth centers. Patient safety is a foundational principle for the board as well as nurse midwives. Birth in the home may involve a laceration, and the evidence would support that not repairing in a timely fashion presents a patient safety issue. Delay in repair involves greater blood loss, increased risk of infection, and risk of breakdown. Transporting a patient after birth to a facility for the simple repair of a laceration that a nurse midwife is qualified to repair is a patient safety issue, not to mention inefficient management of fiscal resources. It's also important to recognize that many CNMs practice both in the healthcare system, hospitals or birth centers, and in the home. So you become schizophrenic trying to figure out.
But we're getting into the specifics of the board, and rather than this is the sunset. I mean, that can be discussed in a committee that you're talking about.
I'll conclude then. The board has in the past provided advisories that have allowed us to continue to practice and alerting the professional community, and we're hoping that we will be able to collaboratively work with the board as they continue. Thank you
very much. Yes, sir.
I work with the Board of Registered Nursing as a call center representative for the past 7 years. And compared to what others say, I strongly support the Senate Staff Committee's endorsement of sunsetting the board. The reasons I would like to sunset the board is very simple. Basic necessities are not being fulfilled. For example, anything is the solutions they take is more like a Band-Aid fix, focusing just on the superficial level, not going in depth on solving the issue. Any issues the call center, because being a call center representative, we see the good, the bad, and the ugly of not just Breeze, but also the board. And we always put that in every meeting, but most of the time we see the management as defensive and say, oh, that is not an issue or something that cannot be tracked. A very simple example is eligibility letters for examinations who have been approved for exams, they're not receiving it, most of them. And every time they tell, oh, it's very tough to track it. And we call center representatives, in spite of our call center jobs, have taken the other work of trying to track it. And over the period of next 2 months, we can submit a whole statistical report of how many eligibility letters people aren't receiving. Every day we are receiving at least 20 calls telling we are not receiving eligibility letters. If that has been mailed, they wouldn't even been calling. The call volume would drop down. It's very simple, but unfortunately, my management doesn't seem to have the logic to understand the consequence of that action would have on the calls. And there are a lot of other things I can give it to the committee members if needed, if later on, but I don't want to keep going. The others people would like to talk. Transparency has been lost totally. There's no sense of transparency. And let me tell you something. This is not something that happened just after Breeze. I've been with them for 7 years. I know they're an exemplary organization. That's why, for me, if the professionalism is not there, I don't stick around there. And they have been a very good, and being into this country as an immigrant, I loved that organization. But once Breeze rolled in, the whole culture changed. And I'm still trying to fathom the reason why would they do that. And I'm not sure, is it committee members pressuring them, the senators pressuring them, or is the DCA pressuring them? I have no clue, but they are changing for not taking customers and employees into consideration when any decision is taken. They're not brainstorming for issues. And I don't know if the members and the directors know that most staff members are now starting to reach to the union, which is not good. There are a lot of issues which probably you don't even have no clue what's
Sir,
happening.
if you have some more comments, and if you could direct them to the committee.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just letting them know that most of them are reaching to the union because a lot of issues that we think they should know, and it will be much good if they come and talk directly to us. And I don't think I'm not representing any union, I'm just telling what's happening at the board.
Okay, I'm sorry, but with the comments, we have our session beginning right now, and Assemblymember Bonilla has to go as well, so we're going to resume at 2:45, and we'll finish the public comments. Thank you very much. We'll recess until 2:45.
Comment, folks, again, and get started. So I'd invite you to come forward. Yes.
My name is Tricia Hunter. I'm speaking on behalf of the American Nurses Association, California. I've been a nursing activist for a long time in the state of California. Had the opportunity to serve on the Board of Registered Nursing for 7 years in the 80s. Had the opportunity to serve in the state legislature and carry the last bill that gave a licensing fee for the Board of Registered Nursing, and now advocate for the Nurses Association on behalf of nurses in the state of California. I would like to bring to attention the committee that at the last Sunset Review, there was a document that was prepared by the Business Profession Committee that talked about 10 years of underfunding for the Board of Registered Nursing, leading to the issues of the backlog and discipline on ability to be able to hire staff. At that time, I don't remember how many openings the board had, but there was numerous openings at the Board of Registered Nursing. Since that review, we went through the LA Times article that I would argue was fraught with many misstatements, but ended up with the board not having a quorum and able to do their business, in particular discipline, until at what time the quorum was replaced. Ended up with a report that scrutinized what was going on with the board, of how many more staff they needed to be able to deal with the discipline issues. It was 60. The
Okay.
department approved 30, and they weren't hired for another 2 years because there was a hearing freeze.
Okay, let's get to today.
The board has been understaffed, hiring freezes, furloughs, 5% cut, salaries below what nurses are paid anywhere else. We've gone through a new system of Breeze. I personally had trouble with renewing on the Breeze system and had to call for technical support. And now I've helped at least 10 other nurses with the same technical issue I have that still exists today. The board had to do new graduates for the first time around because it didn't interface with the National Council by hand, and we heard that testimony at many of the board meetings. Many of the issues that are related to the veterans are a issue for California because we have 2 boards. We are only one of 2 other states in the United States that have 2 boards instead of 1 board that interface together. So we have 2 boards, and the LVN process is the appropriate process for vets. And if we had 1 board, it would be looked at as they were meeting their job, but because we have 2 boards, it puts the RN board out separate.
Okay.
We've talked about legislation. It has always been our belief as a professional association that it's not the board's position to advocate on behalf of our turf battles in nursing, whether it's advanced practice, independent practice, or other issues that become very big turf battles here in the legislature. And we don't believe the board should be criticized in taking that position. We think their role is to protect the public, not to advance the practice of nursing. That's the role of those of us who are advocating on behalf of nursing and the future of nursing. I personally have attended the workforce meeting and the education advisory meetings every year on behalf of ANAC. And I was a little concerned with the conversations around a case before the Board of Registered Nursing. Having served on the board for 8 years, each case is very unique, and the data that the board has received and what they do to make that decision is sometimes not public, generally is not public information. And I thought that was a low blow and being discussed at this meeting. And I just also wanted to share that every nurse to be put on probation is revocated. So they're revocated first, and then they're put on probation. So for the rest of their history in nursing, they have a revocated license that will be seen in any database that's looked at.
Okay, thank you. That's a very important point for us to understand. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name, excuse my voice, laryngitis. My name is Pat McFarland, and I'm the CEO of the Association of California Nurse Leaders and the California Student Nursing Association. And I also represent the California Association of Colleges of Nursing. And these 3 organizations work very closely with the Board of Nursing. And we have some simple requests. One, please to continue the board beyond the sunset date. It's important in the work that they do. There are a number of things that you've identified that we need to work on, but we feel that we can work with the board on many of these issues if the board was given the resources to perhaps bring in some system experts and some other individuals that can really help them. It's been very difficult moving through the process, knowing that they were dealing with the system Breeze. We heard about it this morning and all the complications with Breeze and how when you have a crisis, you move manpower to that issue. So let's give them the resources to do the job for what they do well. I would like to speak to the diversity issue. While the Board of Nursing said they don't do anything directly, let me tell you they are heavily involved in our work with our students and our student workforce today. Nursing students do reflect the population of California, and I can tell you they are champions of the work we do through CNSA. And also with our workforce center in California, the Board of Nursing staff also very active in our workforce. So we do look at the workforce, and we are continuing to implement strategies to ensure we have the right workforce for tomorrow. So I ask for the resources, and I ask for the support and the continuation of the Board of Nursing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Melanie Balestra, and I have been an attorney for over 20 years and a nurse practitioner for over 35 years. And first, I would like to say that the Board of Registered Nursing, the amount of cases that they get is just phenomenal. And I have worked with other boards of nursing throughout the United States, and we, by far, have so many more cases. And when you get down to the actual board, these are volunteers that are doing this, and it is absolutely impossible for them to go through every case carefully, so they have to depend on the amount of people that they have working with them and who they have working with them. That being said, I would just like to possibly suggest a case starts out at an investigative level, and then it goes to the legal analyst. And I'm not sure what background the legal analyst has, whether it's legal, nursing, but I think it would be really beneficial to have a nurse-type position in the legal analyst position, because there is so much changing in nursing today that it's hard to understand unless you're there. I mean, even electronic medical records, which are the future and this great thing, I can't tell you as a practicing nurse practitioner how many problems I've had with it. And so I can see this type of thing continuing in the future. So I think if they had someone on board that was an RN that could, you know, look at these cases too, not just from a legal standpoint, but actually what is actually going on, I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to mention was that with nurse practitioners, we do have a bill coming up for full practice authority, and keeping my fingers crossed that it goes through. But there is such a variance right now as far as what a nurse practitioner can do and what a nurse practitioner can't do, because the only statute that really addresses supervision is the furnishing statute. So therefore, when you're representing a nurse practitioner, it is confusing for the Deputy Attorney General, and it just, it's just a very, very gray area.
Okay.
So that we
We have
can.
to stay focused on
Okay.
the sunset, and we have a few
Okay.
more speakers, and we got to zip
Okay,
through them.
all right. And like I said, if there could be more guidelines for MPs, that would be great. And then the other problem that I have run into is that you meet with the DAG and you come upon a settlement, and then it can be anywhere from 3 to 9 months later when it's actually either recognized that they're going with it or that it's overturned and that they're not agreeing to it. And this just puts a lot of pressure on, you know, the nurse at that point, because nobody wants to hire her because she's kind of in limbo. So again, and this has to do with numbers and getting personnel that can, you know, be able to help out in this effect. I do think we need the Board of Nursing. I just think we need help. We need the right kind of help. And you know, like I said, California has more problems than any other state in nursing just because of the sheer numbers. So I would just say, let's support them and let's hire some people.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Nancy Bryant. I am a family nurse practitioner. I have been a registered nurse since 1970, and 16 years as a family nurse practitioner in different settings. I have a statement, and it may not be very positive, but I would like to tell the board that I believe that we do need to have a regulatory agency. I agree with Ms. Balestra with everything she said. I believe that they need to exist, but it needs to be, fair and equitable in their decisions in applying discipline and fines. These are some of my thoughts, and you can stop me at any time.
Okay, I probably will in about 2 minutes.
So this will only take like one or two. Instigating hearings, I feel that the BRN is abusing their power by investigating hearings that appear to be more politically and financially driven than the public safety, imposing severe fines to cover the cost of the hearings in excess of $30,000 for hearings that have nothing to do with the safeguard of the public or that a nurse practitioner has harmed anyone. Having the Attorney General's persecuting nurse practitioners without adequate knowledge of the Nursing Private Act or the role of the nurse practitioners in private practice. Overturning a judge's decisions, sometimes overturning the judge's decision to dismiss that the judge has dismissed. Exaggerating facts to accuse nurse practitioners of safe unsafe patient care when the patients have never suffered harm. And stating in one hand that they are considering the removal of physician supervision requirements, and on the other hand, persecuting nurse practitioners for inflicting fines for unintentional errors omitted in the standardized procedures and protocols that cause no harm to anyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Philip Bautista, and I am currently a registered nurse since 2012. I am the elected membership director for the American Nurses Association California and a PhD student at the Betty Irene Moore School of Nursing here at UC Davis. But I'm here today in my most basic capacity as an RN in the interest of patient safety. 2 points that I would like to address. That with the issues of increased diversity, I graduated from Fresno State, which is a Hispanic serving institution in a very highly Hispanic area. The barriers to increasing the numbers of men and ethnic diversity in nursing are not just professional, they are cultural, they are educational, they are financial. The profession of nursing and many other nursing associations, such as the American Nurses Association California, the Association of California Nurse Leaders, California Nursing Students Association, and the California Institute for Nursing and Healthcare work together to improve ethnic diversity. It is a responsibility of us as registered nurses to join associations such as the Black Nurses Association. I'm currently helping to form a Hispanic nursing chapter here in the Sacramento area. The Men in Nursing chapter has just started here in the Sacramento area. We have the responsibility as RNs to help lead our own profession and not rely on a licensing board to do all the work for us. And they have supported us tremendously, but it is a responsibility of nurses as well to carry the torch. Nurses must also realize that experience is not everything. I can speak because I have just finished a nursing program within the last couple of years. I completed nearly 3 years with over 1,000 hours of patient care directly, graduated with honors, served on multiple educational committees, and I passed my licensing exam in the minimum number of possible questions. And I can assure you, as somebody that has recently completed this education system in California, the current system, witnessing experience versus education firsthand, experience is not sufficient to determine licensure alone. And the BRN is critically needed to assure us that our education standards are at the highest level. We provide care for your family. We need to make sure that our family, our friends, and our loved ones are held to the highest level of care. In closing, I maintain a relationship with social media forums as a mentor with other nurses throughout the state to over 13,000 nursing students and new graduates. The BREEZE licensing process has been stressful for many, but it has improved vastly in recent months under the board's current leadership. When I renewed my license last year, it took me 30 minutes to renew it online, and it was done. In closing, the board is not perfect, but the BRN has served the public well to provide for patient safety, and I ask that you continue to stand with myself and other nurses in supporting the public safety and continue the BRN. Thank you.